Welcome back to Agni. This is another episode of Agni's builds. In this one, we're going over a Skitarii build that I affectionately call Ride the Lightning, or God of Lightning, whichever you prefer. I prefer Ride the Lightning, being a bit of a Metallica head myself. But the main part of the build, the main way it all kind of comes together, is everything is based off of lightning and electrocution, which is thankfully a very large part of what makes the Skitarii. Let's take a quick look at our primary and secondary weapons. Obviously we got the arc Maul, max level for this one, just because it's what I use. You can see for the perks, I have the 25% damage on flak, armored, and carapace enemies. The blessings, I have Voltegeist Overload and Enhanced will take arcs. This is all just to increase the chances of our arc lightning hitting something, killing something, taking something out, all part of that lightning thing. Arc rifle, this doesn't really need an introduction, but I'll give one just in case. This is very much the main part of the build. This is the keystone, if you will. This is the money maker. This is what makes it all come together. The arc rifle. Perks are all about critting. Blessings are enhanced will take arcs, so the arc lightning jumps farther and can jump an additional time, and then cavalcade, which just increases our critical chance for every 10% of the magazine fired, and a continuous fire. We don't have to worry about marks because I don't believe either of these have other marks, so it's just the way they are naturally. Take a quick look at the talent trees. You can see our main things are the take emitter ability, arc grenade splits, ammunition deposit aura, and the power overload keystone. And the rest of these kind of all come together to get us what we want. We can go over those in a bit more detail later on, but for now, let's get into a little bit of gameplay in the Psykhanium and to try to give you an idea of how this all works together. So first up, like I mentioned, the main thing is the arc rifle. That is the main thing. So let's just fire off a bit to kind of see what it plays like. See, it made quick work with that Scab Rager. Let's try this Jug Shotgunner. What about this Rager? Now you might have caught it there. It's pretty quick. Let's try it on this Crusher. He might live a little bit longer. Oh, you see it a little bit there. I was shooting him, but the lightning jumped off and hit him too. But you can see just the arc rifle itself, just firing just straight. No enhancements, no anything. It's dropping these dudes very quickly. Considering that the Crushers are some of the toughest enemies in all of Darktide, it speaks to the kind of power that this arc rifle has. Now granted, it is a fully kitted out one. Max level, min-maxed as best as I can make it to the best of this build and my wants. But it's just a powerhouse. Now, sometimes this won't be able to work. Maybe you have too many Crushers. Maybe you ran out of ammo. You know, with the current event, that ammo is now just a pickup that has to be dropped by enemies. Who knows? We have a few ways to get around that, but let's just assume you run out. Then we have our arc Maul. This is a very similar thing. For most things, it's going to be able to deal with them pretty effectively. Obviously, it's not the main part of the build, so it's not going to be dropping them. But with its special melee attack, it can be very useful, very effective, and also be capable of stalling out multiple enemies at the same time. Makes it a very key part of the build. It works well for crowd control, which is the main thing that we can kind of lack with this. We are very capable dropping down a few key targets. Like, it does not take long at all for us to start really just snowballing, especially with the arc lightning. But for a bit of a crowd, we might be kind of left wanting. So that's when our Arc Maul will really be effective. Give us a bit of room, a bit of space to work with. Then we can get our distance, back up. But that's not our only tool set for dealing with things when they get close. We also have our voltaic emitter. To stun everything, give out a ton of arc lightning. And the whole time we're doing this, but the whole time we're surviving, dealing with crowds, getting our crowd control in, getting our arc rifle shots off, we are constantly building a power overload. And anytime that we burst over the limit, we'll be electrocuting the nearby enemies, getting toughness for ourselves and allies, and just making ourselves better and better. And of course, I did make sure to get the keystone modifier, the static capacitor drain. So every time we overload 8 times, 16 times, and 24 times, we'll get bonuses that last until death that are very, very useful. And those will be a lot easier to get because we'll be constantly getting capacitance with our critical hits, which we'll be getting a lot of. Even on that one. And then as just a result of just us regularly hitting things as well. But then as we go, we will very easily start to snowball, especially once we get to that max of 26 overload attempts. 26 overload times. Then we can really start to snowball with that 25% bonus capacitance generation. Then we really just start to things are really going our way. But what about the arc grenades, Agni? I hear you say. Well, let's try them out. These are very useful dealing with a significant horde of enemies. It stuns them, ton of damage, very effective. It's just another tool set that we can use, or another tool that we can use when this arc rifle isn't effective. This arc rifle is very much the main thing of the build. The jumping, the arc lightning. It is incredible to use. It feels great, sounds great, very effective, and everything else is to just either boost it or help us survive it when that wouldn't be effective. That's pretty much most of how the build works moment to moment. You're mainly looking at using the arc rifle. When that doesn't work, you have your arc maul. When that doesn't work, you have your arc grenade. And when none of that works, you have your voltaic emitter. And then on top of all of that, we also have our power overload, which is constantly giving us damage. Right here, we're not getting a ton of kills, but if we were in a real life situation, well, not a real life situation, but in an actual mission, we would be getting a lot of kills moment to moment, constantly boosting ourselves. Anytime we use our voltaic emitter, we're getting 5 stacks for every charge. So that means if we're at 3 stacks, we're getting 15 stacks of power overload. These things really start to snowball together, and it can be very overwhelming. It makes the Skitarii class feel almost overpowered compared to the rest of the classes. Because I feel like with almost everything else, there's a bit more work or finesse. At least that's how it can feel at certain times. But this one, it's just like, oh, I just picked everything that was lightning and that was it. Now, I am very excited to get into the gameplay here, or I guess into the voiceover part. But before that, let's go over all of the towns we've selected individually and get into a bit of my headspace as I was setting this build up. This was a build that I just worked out myself. I did not scrounge around. I did not look anything up, see what works this way, what works that way. I was just experimenting, and I saw that all of these things were arc. Everything was based off lightning, and it took a few iterations, but I'm very satisfied with where this build is. So, with that said, enough of me rambling. Let's get into the towns. The first thing that we have here is a passive power redistribution uplink. Critical hits restore 7.5% toughness and grant 15% toughness damage reduction over 3 seconds. So we'll be getting a ton of critical hits with this build thanks to the arc rifle. So we'll just be getting a lot of toughness and toughness damage reduction. Gain another passive, last stand relay. Gain plus 6% crit chance, increased to 10% when at 0 charges. So this is just a passive critical hit chance boost. And then right after we use our voltaic emitter when we're at 0 charges, it'll be bumped up to 10, making it more likely that we will hit critical hits. And then this next one will become more effective, which is Flex Conduit Buildup. This is an ability modifier. Critical hits generate 5% capacitance over 4 seconds. It's just another way that this build all kind of works together. It reminds me a bit of the way the Firestarter build worked. If you haven't seen that, it's a Psyker build based all around the Inferno Force Staff. Just the idea of stacking critical hit chances on top of each other and using that as a way of kind of just bulldozing our way through anything. So that's enough of this west sector here. Let's go to the east sector. We start with binary ballistic protocols. This is a have to just to get over here unless we wanted to jump across, but we don't mind it at all. Elite kills restore 15% toughness over 3 seconds. Works for me. Jump down to ammo cell augury, plus 25% ammo reserve. This is mainly a ranged weapon build, so obviously we're gonna want that. Gunsmith, gain 15% reload speed. We don't usually reload. Usually we'll be relying on the secondary ability of this one, which is additionally after not shooting for 5 seconds, each second spent not shooting, reload 7.5% of your clip from your ammo reserve. So that means we'll basically run out of ammo in our arc rifle, swap to the arc Maul or one of our other tools, wait a couple seconds, and then continue firing. We'll never be caught reloading. We'll never be caught waiting. But just in case, I am glad that that 15% reload speed is there. For those, odd occurrences where you mess up your timing, you get out of position, you're caught lacking, it can help. So I'm glad it's there. We jump over to ammunition restoration pod, which is every 15 seconds to replenish 1% of your max ammo reserve. And I believe this is also boosted by our ammo cell augury. So that means we're generating, not 26% or anything, but that 1% is higher because of this, because we have more ammo reserve, we are generating more. So that means even just standing around, we'll continue to get ammunition, which is incredibly useful with a build like this, where the ranged weapon is the main thing. It's all about the arc rifle with this one. Let's jump up to Galvanic Marking Array. Ranged elite kills increase damage by 5% for 15 seconds. It stacks 4 times and stacks decay 1 at a time. We'll be getting a lot of those elite kills, a lot of those ranged elite kills specifically. So increasing our damage is always good. We'll make sure to take the ammunition deposit aura. Gain 25% toughness. You and allies in coherency have 10% plus 10% ammo reserve. So again, stacking on this one, so now we have plus 35% ammo reserve. So this 1% that we're gaining back every 15 seconds is even greater. Threat detection imperative. Ranged kills reduce toughness damage taken by 4% for 8 seconds. It stacks 5 times, stacks decay 1 at a time. So that means as we're just firing away, melting everything in front of us, when we do take damage, it'll be greatly reduced because we should be at max stacks of this basically at all times. Over to superior defense engrams. Range kills grant stacks. Each stack replenishes 1% toughness per second. Max 5 stacks, lasts 8 seconds. Again, all of these things are very self-explanatory. It's all just range things, ranged focus, and everything that can help us in these particular situations. Let's get up to Hybrid Combat Covenant. This is just an incident of what we have here, but it is very useful in its own way. Melee kills increase range damage by 3% for 8 seconds, stacks 5 times. Ranged kills increase melee damage by 3% for 8 seconds, stacks 5 times. So that means when that and the stacks decay 1 at a time. When we pass it from one to the other, when we're mainly shooting with our arc rifle or mainly hitting with our arc Maul, when that swap happens and we swap back to the other one, it is more powerful for those first few seconds. It's just another way of getting us back into that situation that we want to be in, where we're in control of everything and we're not overwhelmed by the horde. Power overload, already talked about how we had it, but let's read the whole description here. Kills by you and allies in coherency grant 1 stack of power overload. Elite and specialist enemy kills grant 2 stacks, max 30 stacks, reaching max stacks, causes an overload and reset to 0 stacks. The overload grants you and allies in coherency plus 15% damage and 15% toughness damage reduction for 8 seconds. So already, that's a bit of a monster ability. That's very powerful. Just by nature of killing things around us, every 30 stacks, so basically every 30 enemies, maybe even as short as every 15 enemies, we're getting 8 seconds of plus 15% damage and 15% toughness damage reduction. This is amazing. It works very well with the build. Let's check out its modifiers. Critical power overload. It now applies an electrocution effect to enemies in melee range, causing enemies hit to also take 15% more damage for 8 seconds. So that means when we're overloading with our ranged ability, we'll also be passively giving out an electrocution effect to keep those enemies off of us and allow us to do more damage to them. Invigorating overload. You and allies in coherency restore 20% toughness and 20% stamina when the overload occurs. This is what I was talking about earlier. So as we continue building those stacks of power overload, we'll be getting ourselves and our allies toughness and stamina. This is static capacitor drain, which I talked a bit about earlier, but just to confirm one thing, it says right at the bottom that the bonuses last until death. So the power overload main portion, which is the 15% damage and the 15% toughness damage reduction for 8 seconds, that only lasts 8 seconds and whenever we overload. But these ones last until you die. So that means once you hit 8 times overloading, you permanently get 15% damage. 16, you get 20% toughness damage reduction. 24, you get 25% bonus capacitance generation, lasting until death, which frankly is going to be pretty hard with the way things are going. And this is just a little thing to help us get those extra stacks. Gain 5 stacks for each charge spent, which is of course going to be from our full take emitter. So that is how the power overload works. Let's continue over this way. I don't think we looked at this one. Mobian conductor, gain 15% damage for 10 seconds on ability use. So that means right when we're using our voltaic emitter to kind of get everything off of us, we'll deal even more damage for those first 10 seconds, giving us that leeway, that ability to get done whatever we need to get done and reset our position, reset our kind of foothold, if you will, in the situation. Augmented power cycle, generate 1% capacitance each second. It's just another helpful way to get more capacitance. Let's head to the north section. Auto repair doctrines replenish plus 3% toughness per second, increase by 0.5% per current charge. So this is just something that's good, but then based off the situation, it can get even better. It's not a very difficult choice that we picked this one. It's just going to help us out. Melee critical hits electrocute the first target hit. This is just another way of guaranteeing us more electrocutions, which is a very key part of the build, and you'll see why here. Weakness analysis reduction, plus 10% toughness, plus 10% damage for 8 seconds when hitting an electrocuted, soul-blazed, burning, bleeding, or toxin-afflicted enemy with a melee or range attack. And I believe that that goes for all of our allies. Like if one of them has soul blazed an enemy, one of them has set an enemy on fire, one of them is bleeding or toxin afflicted our enemy, we benefit from that as well. But the main thing that we're looking at is electrocution, the electrocuted part, because almost everything we're doing is electrocuting them. Let's jump over here before we head over to the arc grenades. Entropic transfer, replenish 12% toughness over 4 seconds on electrocuting an enemy. So now you're starting to see a little bit of what's going on here. Electrocuting an enemy applies 4 stacks of 2.5% brittleness to them. And if you don't know what brittleness is, brittleness just means basically they take more damage. That's really it. It means their armor is less effective, essentially. So anytime we're electrocuting an enemy, which is constantly, whether it's from our power overload or our arc grenades or our voltaic emitters or anything, we are applying brittleness to them, getting toughness back, dealing extra damage to them, and then we also just gain a flat 10% damage versus the electrocuted, and increased by an additional 5 per current charge. So that means we could deal as much as 25% extra damage to those people that are electrocuted. Just simply powerful. Incredible. The way it all comes together. Everything's fitting into each other. Everything is about the lightning, the electrocution. It's wonderful. The voltaic emitter, I'll read the whole thing here. Unleash an electric discharge around you. Enemies within 12 meters are electrocuted for 2 seconds, stunning them and dealing damage when using voltaic emitter at 2 charges or above. Ranged weapons within 30 meters have their weapons malfunction for 12 seconds. When using voltaic emitter at 3 charges or above for the next 15 seconds, your attacks electrocute enemies hit for 2 seconds, dealing damage. This is an enhanced version of the voltaic expander ability, which is our class's just default ability. And we just take the modifier voltaic arcs, so when we use it, we release 1 forward facing arc per charge spent. Each deals high damage and impact. Let's check out the last piece here, the arc grenades. Throw an arc grenade creating an electrical explosion that arcs 4 times, prioritizing armored and specialist enemies, dealing massive damage and impact. Increases the number of arcs created by your arc grenades by 2. Enemies hit by the arcs have 8 stacks of 2.5% brittleness applied to them. And lastly, enhanced. So they're enhanced and overcharged. Your arc grenades also cause ranged enemies within 8 meters to have their ranged weapons malfunction, making them unable to use them for 12 seconds. That is also one of the things that our voltaic emitter does. So again, all of these things are coming together to get us lightning, electrocute our enemies, protect us at range. Everything is coming together. This build covers basically any situation that you could find yourself in, and it feels very powerful. It feels very great. I can't put into words the amount of times I've seen a horde of these scab rages coming at me, and you just drop a cheeky little arc grenade, and they're gone. Or something's running at you, one of these rages is running at you, and you just melt it with the arc rifle. Even if you're caught in a very tight situation, where you got 2 or 3 rages on you, and you can just... and they're stunned, and you hit them with your arc Maul, and the whole time that arc lightning is spreading out, and even in its regular version, it's still a powerful crowd control tool. There's a ton of options with this build. I'm very happy with it. I hope you enjoy it too. Now let's get into the gameplay portion. This is where I will go and record a mission beginning to end with no voiceover, just gameplay, but then I'll hop in and go over a few highlights with you, showcasing my mindset, what I'm thinking, and how the build is actually helping us out. Let's hop over there, and I'll meet you there. Okay, here we go with the gameplay portion. This mission kind of went sideways in a few ways, but ultimately I think it really shows off the strength that the build has in terms of adaptability and utility, and just outright damage that this thing can pump out. Again, the main kind of order that we're following in terms of the order of weapons that we'll use is the arc rifle first, then the arc Maul for crowds, and then the arc grenade. Basically for scenarios where we're facing one target that isn't moving, or if we need to quickly disperse a crowd, and then we're also going to throw in our ability, the emitter, just kind of as we see fit. This is a Pox Hound mission, so there's a lot of hordes of Pox Hounds, so I think we frequently use it for that. But as you can see, as we're getting into the action, we're sticking hard with our arc rifle, trying to manage our position, dodge shots, while also keeping an eye out for anything that could kind of throw us off. But like I mentioned, sticking pretty hard with the arc rifle. That's going to be most of what this build is. It's just so adaptable, so useful. If you need something at a distance, then it's good. If you need something close, then it's good. Taking down hordes, then it's also still good. As long as you have ammo. And it's not the most efficient, but it's just so capable. and just firing into any sort of crowd that we see for now. We get a few ragers here, and our teammates are actually very capable as well. They help us out a lot. But you can see we got a big crowd right here. We're going to drop the emitter, going with the arc maul. Try to watch for the dog. We get caught a little out of position thanks to these flamers, but we recover. Go back to the distance that we should be when we're using our ranged weapon. Get a couple shots off. And us, along with our teammate here, Vessel, and we also actually have another teammate who's his Skitarii. I thought this mission was funny. It's 2 Psychers and 2 Skitarii. And I think both of us have, each of the pair has a similar build. I thought it was funny, but anyway. Thanks to our teammate Vessel here, we were able to quickly deal with that horde. We saw another horde coming up behind us. We were able to quickly deal with it thanks to our arc rifle. We're going to continue forward here. You're going to see a little bit of what I'm talking about, not right here, but in a moment in terms of the clock sound. Really, this whole squad was lightning based. It was rather an incredible coincidence. I do make a big mistake here. You see that demon host call out. Use our emitter, and you see the kill feed. We're able to quickly disperse of them. Deal with the ragers with our arc maul, thanks to its lightning. We're able to stun them, reposition, and also our teammates backing us up. Awesome, a quick look at this. We see the sniper. Able to deal with it easily. And I believe right here was my mistake. I believe so. That shot against that infested, I think, arced to the demon host and agitated her. Which will quickly prove to be a mistake. Try to keep my footing. You can see me go for the grenade, but she knocks me off, and I get taken out instantly. But thankfully, our teammates are able to recover. They're able to keep us going. So let's jump ahead to when we're back in the game and when we're continuing basically the game. Here we are back ahead, I guess back into the gameplay. We skipped that a little bit. Teammates were able to get us. We continue just a bit ahead past the ascender portion. This massive crowd here of shotgunners is just easy work for us. Again, the strength of this build, primarily with the arc rifle and all the ways that we've kind of fine-tuned it with our talents, unmatched. We get this Packmaster here. Again, we're going to go for the strategy. Since we're in one area, we're going to stick right here with the arc grenade. Use our abilities. That, along with our teammate helping us out, we're able to quickly knock him down. Get some heavy damage output. A crowd behind us. Get some shots out. Hopefully those shots can arc out from the arc lightning and just take out a good number of them. You can hear ahead there's another demon host. I almost make the same mistake, but I don't. We are on org, so the enemies are just pouring out. Anytime we get a second, more enemies are pouring out from behind, from the front, from the sides. Little horde here, nothing crazy. Light work able to deal with it, but it does knock us out of position, so we are kind of scrambling to catch back up. Almost mess up here. I should not have been running. I don't even think I should have gone this way, but I was just focused more on catching up. That is the most important thing, to make sure I'm with my team, but I should have prioritized my own safety, especially after the previous encounter where I got dropped. But we continue forward. We're almost to the assassination target that we're after. You see the horde coming. Again, one use of the ability. Easy work. Another horde is coming up. Our Skitarii teammate does pretty much the same thing. This mission was a ton of fun, being able to see this build, not only from my own point of view, but seeing him use a very similar looking build. I think he had a different secondary, or a different melee weapon. You know, maybe some of his sound trees are different, but the overall essence seemed to be similar. get some material. Always in need of that. Try to keep in mind our positioning. We don't want to be right into the thick of things all the time. We are capable of being there. But, oh, you can see I almost made another mistake there. Or I guess I did make a mistake, but I saved myself thanks to the strength of the build. That Mauler was about to one-shot me, down me, put us in a really bad position because that grenade a little bit would have blown up. That would have maybe even taken me out. But thanks to the emitter, I was able to stun him, get back into position, manage things well, and recover. Same thing almost happens again. Thankfully this time with no fire barrel. But again, we're able to recover. That's one of the things I love the most about this build and the emitter. The way the arc lightning works, the stun factor, or I guess the electrocution status effect. It saves you when you need to be saved. When you make those mistakes that you know every person makes, you get slightly out of position, slightly excited. It can really help out. You can see even in that moment right there, that Rager got stunned. And thanks to just a little bit of good positioning from my part, I'm able to take him down completely untouched. And I believe right ahead we do deal with another massive Rager horde. Yeah, there it is. They're going to come up. You see me getting some shots out. You see the arc lightning pulsing out, throbbing if you would. I don't know. Again, incredible kill feed. You love to see it. You see my excitement. This build is truly one of my favorites that I've built out. It feels great to use. It feels very impactful, and it's very exciting, very engaging. There are a few builds that I'm not complete fans of that I've seen other people use, but this, being that this is one of my builds, of course I would like it, I guess. But there's just nothing like this one. The power, the utility, the versatility, almost any situation you'll encounter, there's some way that this build can cover it or adapt to it. Hearing multiple Poxhound hordes. So trying to get back into position with our team, stick close by. I see a few here, so I dropped the emitter. A little bit of a waste there, honestly. Didn't seem to be a heavy amount. It seemed to be going over there, but the arc rifle, it just does its thing. Then you can see we got a Rager Poxhound mixed horde here, potentially lethal, but we can just make short work of it. You can see how excited I am. Me and my Skitarii teammate here, feeling the energy, the OMNISSIAH flowing through us right now. Incredible. We're getting to the last sort of portion here before we meet the assassination target. See a couple crushers here, a couple mixed hordes. And we're still prioritizing our positioning, keeping our distance when we need it, when we're firing mainly with our ranged weapon. Of course, managing our ammo, making sure we have some reserves. Yeah, I see these shield fellers, as I've come to call them. They're called bulwarks, but you know, they're fellers, and they have shields. Drop in with the emitter. I miss a number of shots there. I'm so embarrassed. I don't hear this mutant coming up behind me, but we're able to recover. Okay, I think let's skip ahead a little bit. Just some minor hordes here. Let's jump in. Here we are at the, I believe, Sanction Redactus target, Captain Daniel Lagerrock. What a weird name. But we are here to lay the smackdown on him, give him the OMNISSIAH'S wrath. Again, just firing with our arc rifle, keeping that pressure on, getting those critical chance increases, getting those critical hits. using our emitter to boost the damage that we're dealing, because then we get the electrocution status effect. Jumping in with the arc maul, and if I had a grenade, I'd throw it right at his feet to add to the punishment. But as you can see from the damage being done, we are making very short work of this guy. Incredible match, incredible mission, incredible ending to it. We even had the meme of beating the boss before we even got to the good part of the song. I was loving this mission. Let's jump to the conclusion. Well, that's that. This is just the conclusion portion. I'll just go over a little bit of the build again and then just kind of say goodbye. I did want to add one thing, which was I actually recorded everything before this. I recorded the gameplay and the kind of first part of the build video before the most recent build where they buffed the arc grenades. So now they're even more... Oh, wow. Just wow. Now they're even more amazing, and the build is even better, man. I was worried if anything this build would get nerfed, but then you're just gonna tell me you're just gonna buff it? Incredible. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the gameplay portion. Like I mentioned a few times in there is a bit of an order of operations with this build. The main thing that we'll be using more often than not is, of course, the arc rifle. It is just such a powerhouse. Next, for the hordes and some of the melee specific enemies, we'll be using our arc maul. And of course, hordes in general, regardless of their, mixed or special or elite status, our emitter. And now, lastly, for when we're kind of locked down in one specific area with a particularly heavy enemy, or we're surrounded by some of those mixed hordes and we need a bit of a break, and perhaps we're out of emitter charges, our arc grenade. Just power. There's just such an incredibleness to this build. I love it so much. I'm so glad that they buffed it. But with that said, I hope you've come to enjoy it, understand it, look forward to it. I hope you can give this build a shot. It's definitely one of my favorites. I love everything about it. I love the Skitarii class so much. I was so nervous that maybe finally Fat Shark would drop the ball. If you don't know, Fat Shark is the developers of the game. Because I already loved the Adeptus Arbites and the Hive Scum so much. But no, another strikeout. Absolutely love the Alpha Primus Skitarii. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed the build. Let me know if you use it. Let me know how it fares for you. I've been Agni. This has been Darktide and the Alpha Primus Skitarii. And this has been Ride the Lightning. Like the video if you like it. Subscribe if you want to see more builds, more campaign replays, more guides. Darktide is and still was and still is my absolutely favorite game. I love it so much. So stick around if you like Darktide. I do too. I'm sure we'll get along. Thanks for being here. I will catch you in the next build, guide, campaign replay, weird other side video guide thing that I want to make. I'll see you there. Bye-bye for now. Oh, man. Praise the OMNISSIAH.